What's going on, homies? Back with more. We always have to have more Cosmonarchy, I'm telling you. Let's see what we can get up to. We're just waiting on our homies. Oh, there we go. YouTube was being fraudulent. Can't have fraudulence on display. This is the No Frauds Club. It is for not frauds, in fact. All right, so somewhat predictably here, ladies and gentlemen, as we kick off Weekend Wage number 5. We have ourselves a very, very exciting opening map of Crisis Vector. Crisis Vector is on the way. So let's do it. Alrighty. We're underway for our first match here that is going to be casted. As a reminder, guys, this happens every other week. I was a little bit off because of a vacay that I had going on, but I hope to see more Cosmonarchy in the near future. HonMonO will be our South Korean representative, our Terran player, pro StarCraft 2, now trying to go pro in Cosmonarchy, as he said once. He is in the top left. He seems to be our Platinum Purple Terran. And MicroGreen in the bottom right is our Russian Green. No, it's Fern Green, in fact. Fern Green Zerg. And, MicroGreen's originally from, like, the CPL area. He's played a lot of StarCraft 1 back in the day. That's his root, if you will. That's where he was rooted in most, indubitably. I'm looking forward to seeing how he adapts to Cosmonarchy. He seems to have taken the jump. He really quite likes doing some Cosmonarchy Zerg gaming, and he's going to be going for the Hydra's Den. Now, this feels like maybe he might not be super up-to-date on the meta, but I am also not super up-to-date on the meta. I was on vacation for a while, and HonMonO never plays the meta. He always goes for his stockade spam historically. Now, I have no idea how much HonMonO has practiced. I don't even really know how much MicroGreen has practiced by comparison. But definitely an interesting situation to find ourselves in now as we wait for MicroGreen to ascend to perhaps another level of competition. This is all best of ones, and it will be on familiar maps, I'm sure. So double elimination means that you do need to lose at least 2 best of ones before you are qualified out of the tournament. Before you are qualified out, it sounds funny, but eliminated from tournament contention. So I look forward to seeing who's going to be doing that first and who's going to be doing that next. Our other matchups here today are Vilius, as already mentioned, Newt in the chat. What's up, Vilius? Yes, our other matchups today are going to be Newt versus Sopas, a new Terran player from the Philippines, if I'm not mistaken. Jack Alengsky finally has some countrymen. And then we have Art of Turtle versus Doglive, the return of Art of Turtle, Doglive being the upper seed in that map. Although that matchup, he is Terran, so that's a little bit of a different one. That hit his seeding a little bit. Then we have, obviously, HonMonO versus MicroGreen, as mentioned, and then our other matchup is Ayud64 versus Daedrid. Now, Ayud is going to be playing Zerg for this tournament, so that is a big difference. He's our top seed still, but, had there been more a glut of other players, like if Newt was maybe potentially seed number 1. I don't know how often Newt has played against Ayud Zerg. There's like an argument about that. So there you go. Looks like we have admin Jujic helping out and hosting for some of our homies. So shout out to Jujic one time. but not also many times. Also many times. The Cyprians and the Anchor are going to shoo away the Iziricors as MicroGreen saunters up. This is a very safe, but also very interesting macro-oriented build here for HonMonO. He does like massing up Cyprians and massing up Masons. It looks like that's exactly what he'll be doing here. Waiting to put down his third stockade. Starting to get the economic machine rolling here as he rallies more and more Masons to the natural. Now the Iziricors are going to try to charge forward, and one of them will be taken out. But yeah, this is a perfect little walk past and just say, yep, I'm just going to ignore you and go after your workers. Now, some of the Masons get pulled, but Masons do not do well into Iziricors. Absolutely not a good little composition there for the Terran to try to defend himself. It would have probably been a little bit more appropriate if he had just decided to fall away. Now, the little bit of drill there to decollide does mean that the Masons have a hard time from there. MicroGreen has a very narrow worker lead. It will start to stretch ahead, but remember, he is only now putting down his expansion, so we are still in a bit of a toss-up as to who's actually got the economic lead. I would say that the Zerg is primed to surge ahead, but a lot is going to come down on how we see the pivot away from that. So that's a good first move for MicroGreen, and it is a little bit of an advanced move, right? That's a move that requires some confidence, even if it's false confidence or, naive confidence. You still need some of that in order to make a move like that happen. And so that's not something that I necessarily thought would be something done by MicroGreen, but it's interesting to see that happen. He's going to make some more Iziricors and add some Hydras behind it. He's putting down a second Larvosk. He'll be on to 5 larvae every 14 seconds. Going to be a reasonable, respectable production for that 5th minute in the game, so to speak, when everything pops out. And he should be relatively safe from encroachments from the Terran for the time being, though HonMonO is, of course, adding more stockades. We will end up seeing him continue to pad up the building amount, and he's actually been idle on his existing stockades, so it's kind of curious that he's adding more without actually making any here. But I won't question his South Koreanness, his pro-nature, you know what I mean? He's going to go ahead and put down a Ministry to float it over to the third base. That is the low ground third base with double gas, and Hydralisk is inbound to go for a little bit of a scout. Hydras are a bit more nimble than Iziricors, and that makes a lot of sense to me. MicroGreen has fallen behind in workers somewhat predictably because of the fact that he's made some military units instead, but he will be rectifying that with time. Oh, okay, so we do have a little bit of a discovery here in the production tab. The Hydra will escape, but the Covenant is on the way. This is a little bit different. HonMonO typically going for the Vestry for Shamans. So I don't know how involved MicroGreen has been in watching HonMonO play in particular. The matchups were always in flux as people were signing up close to the last minute. We did get Daedrid sign up, for example, earlier today to fill us out at 8 players. So as a result, you can't really prepare for your particular opponent. But if you know HonMonO's in the tournament, it might behoove you to take a look at him or sort of download what you know from your memory banks. And that feels like something where you would think, okay, he's going to go Vestry. If he goes anything, it'll be Cyprian Shaman spam. But actually, his Covenant is done, and he'll likely go Savant here. But it's Eidolon instead. He's changing it up. Oh, no, he canceled those out. Savant's indeed on the way. So we're going to see what he wants to do with like a little bit of Maverick, a little bit of Cyprian, and maybe a lot of it Savant. For that sort of thing, I can understand where you go for like a more Hydra-oriented composition before the Savants come out. I think once the Savants do come out, though, you need to consider Lakes. You need to consider some kind of way to properly engage with them, because even upgrading the Hydras into Bactylisks, where they will helpfully outrange the mobile mode of the Savant, I mean, they just have 2 armor. It's a lot to deal with. And the Vestry is coming. If we get Shamans, that's going to help mitigate the damage of the bounces. We get Clerics, that's going to boost armor by 1. There's a lot to think about there. Feels like right about now is when MicroGreen should be taking a third base, and indeed that's exactly what he is doing. Also going to be on the low ground. Remember that Ministry did finish some time ago. HonMonO has not yet taken the territory. And now the Savants are revealed. MicroGreen, seeing that that's what the tech is there for, we'll see what exactly happens from this point onward in his composition. I do feel like, again, you probably want to consider the Shroud. Third base on location. HonMonO now landing. This is the location for it. I mean, the double gas does make a big difference for Zerg, and it makes a big difference for all races, but I think Zerg in particular can be somewhat very gas-heavy. We got Shambler and Mimica in the chat. Welcome. Watching MicroGreen, a newcomer, a $12 a month donor, no less. Duke it out with HonMonO. South Korean StarCraft 2 Pro, who definitely favors himself some serious bio play. The anchor to stop run bys, the Cestus to sort of occupy the rally point, and another one over here at the third base to help entrench it. Feels pretty good. Now, obviously, Crisis Vector has seen plenty of play where you come around this corner to attack this base. You can see preemptively placing some Savants there is a good move. Cestus gives you +2 armor when you're facing your target, so... or when you're facing your attacker, I should say. As a result, Savants will actually be even less possible to deal with Bactylisks, it feels like. It's a really, really good choice into Bactylisk, and it's not bad versus Lake's, considering it provides detection, as the deployed Shaman does as well. Looks like 12 o'clock will be taken momentarily here by HonMonO as his 4th base. That is a more defensible location. Zerg is slowly pushing across the map. They've taken out the power generator on HonMonO's side to make it a little bit easier to take a stab out over here. And this is a little bit stretched away from the Cestuses, so there's a possibility that the Bactylisks could engage nicely over here and make some magic happen. More Azira Cores on the way, but they will not be a part of this fight. It's being engaged much sooner than that. The Savant count is pretty low here, it feels like, compared to what you would want in this position. Remember, there's a whole bunch that were garrisoned elsewhere, and, well, they are starting to stack up. MicroGreen at some point is going to need to pull away, it feels like, but maybe he doesn't think so. He's trying to overpower the Shamans that are dealing a lot to mitigate the bounce damage. The Savants step forward, only to step back into their more deployed selves. It feels like this is narrowly going to be won out by HonMonO, especially since those Azira Cores were never rallied to the front. They're instead going to the third base, and now a bit of a fighting retreat, sort of a no man's land in that kind of position. You definitely want to respect the power of the Bactylisk. 12 more Azira Cores. We still have no other tech nodes coming from MicroGreen. He's going to queue up some Hydras with the rest of his larvae, but now he's actually got a bank. This is time for when you think about making more hatches. He's very low saturation when it comes to that third base. He's got no 4th on the way, whereas the 4th for HonMonO is finishing up. And, of course, we've got 2 more stockades coming. Maybe more. HonMonO does occasionally go into Tier 2. I know that sounds a little bit silly when you build so many stockades. And there we go. There's the tech node change. It's actually going to be the Swamp coming as MicroGreen ends up adding more Hatch and Kagrant, which is likely to be a Larvask. So with all the Azira Cores he's made, he recognizes the presence of mind here. Tethzora Cores have been known to be a pretty good counter to the Savant because the secondary attack that they have doesn't get reduced in frequency when you slow their attack speed. So the Savant's rapid firing, it's just getting poked back over and over again by the Tethzora Core passive attack. Now, unfortunately for MicroGreen, he has no advance warning of this attack coming in. So this is going to be a bit of a surprise. He perhaps intuits it, but is it going to be in time? It feels like the answer is no, as Kagrants are being started, but the Azira Cores are not going to be able to do what they need to do here. They will not survive. There's not enough firepower to kill the units attacking them, and so this will have to be a given up base. But MicroGreen doesn't want to give it up. He wants to stick around and do what he can. You can see how long it takes the Bactylisks to kill even one Savant in this position. The Shamans would be a better target, but they're not going for it. Instead, the discipline not there for MicroGreen's army. He's going to need to fall away. He's making Skitzer Cores right now. Maybe that can force HonMonO to pull back his army, but that would in itself be a mistake. And you're hoping that your opponent will make that critical error and move their army away from you. At this point, HonMonO has set himself up. He can do a death push here. It's not just that he's taken out the third base and he's making a 5th. He can just keep on going, and MicroGreen sees the writing on the wall. GG, our South Korean StarCraft 2 Pro Terran is able to claim first blood. And that was a pretty cool game, you know? That was pretty nice. Sopa's just dropped a follow. Appreciate you, buddy. Hope you're having a good time in the tournament so far. I didn't give you too many. I have no idea how you play, but Newt is a tough cookie, so I'm not sure quite how that. Oh, I see. I see the result has already been reported. So we will go ahead and advance our bracket here. The double elimination still going strong. Actually, we have that matchup available right now. And so we'll see what happens there. That means that we're going to be playing Newt versus HonMonO. TVT. So that's what I will cast. Newt had some practice against me and used the very same tactic to win against Sophus. Well, I look forward to seeing that in the replay later then. Very cool. All right, so we will go ahead and change up our match overlay while we wait for the map pick from Newt versus HonMonO. Apologies for any background noise. They got some lawnmower going. I mean, they're basically always mowing the lawn here, so hopefully my filters are such that you can't quite hear that, but if you can, Hopefully it's not too annoying. Cyclops drops. Yeah, that's what he's done that into... All right, thank you, Sausage. Hope you're doing well, buddy. Yeah, he's done that kind of move a little bit, hasn't he? All right. Okay, so it looks like Newt has selected Demaloon, TVT. Oh, I gotta go ahead and do Newt versus HonMonO. I reposted the bracket in case people wanted to see. MicroGreen selects Frosted Forest to play off against Sopas. That'll be a ZVT once again. I can't cast that one because I'm busy going to be casting this one, so we'll see. Okay, nice. AOT has triumphed, apparently, over Dogliv. That must be very nice. And we're just waiting on the report of Aoud versus Daedrid. All right, our players are ready. We've got Newt taking on HonMonO, TVT on Demaloon. A nice little change of pace. I am glad that we have such a thing going on here. Because, in my opinion, you know, Crisis Vector, Crisis Wage, it's a funny little idea, but it's definitely... It's a funny one. It's a funny one, but surely we like a little variety. Now, Newt in the top left is going to be our Tyrian Purple. No, Cordovan, in fact. Cordovan, Terran, and HonMonO in the bottom right is our Eggshell Blue Terran. This is a map, a port of Overwatch. I mistakenly said it was an original map for Cosmonarchy or something like that back when we were doing the show match between Indy and Mixu, because it feels like such a Cosmonarchy staple by now, but it is technically a StarCraft 1 port. Villy is saying that Aoud will likely win versus Daedrid. Well, Daedrid wasn't a top Terran player, and he switched to Protoss very recently. So unless Protoss is actually OP, I have a feeling that it's going to be just fine. Now, this is already an interesting little pivot here. Newt typically does open Fulcrum. He's going to go ahead and scout after the fact. HonMonO going for a Fulcrum is a bit of a surprise. He's lost to Vulture spam. He's lost to Cyclops drops when he's gone bio. So surely he wants to avert that sort of fate. He wants to change it up. And he's actually going to go ahead and build a second Fulcrum inside his main base and hope that it's not scouted by the Mason coming up the ramp. So that is an interesting situation there. By the way, a little mid-match report here. Aoud has triumphed, evidently, so we're going to go ahead and report that as a victory, which means that it is Doglived T versus Daedrid P in the lower bracket for elimination, and in the winner bracket we have Aoud versus AOT ZVZ, which is not something that I thought we would see. Now, the star pad is coming up, and the Mason, I'm pretty sure, did spot the Fulcrum on the way down. I saw it move a little bit further out to the left, and yeah, he just actually panned over to see something was being made there, and he's like, wait, what the fuck? And then it comes back away. All right. So the 2 Fulk is going to be scouted. It's going to be a lot of Vultures, and the star pad is clearly a pivot away from more aggressive moves. Vulture is going to chase down that Mason, make it sorry that it spotted that move, and we got more Vultures coming out of the 2 Fulk. You know, maybe if it was a little bit further away, it wouldn't have been scouted, but it's a little hard to decide. Trojan on the way for Newt. He wants to do a Vulture drop, I guess. He doesn't have any other units, so it must be that. 1 Fulk Vulture drop feels very fragile. If your opponent just moves across the map and attacks, aren't you really dead? That's sort of what I would think, but I'm not the Terran specialist here. That would be Newt, the highest ranking Terran player in the tournament. With the Dead Mason and the Ministry on the way, HonMonO just banking Vultures for a time. Now we got Cyclops started up, but Is he really going to just sit on that Trojan for a while? No, the answer is no. He's going to have 4 vultures leave the building. Again, if HonMonO had Killer Instinct, just flew across the map with those vultures, he would probably end the game. Very big risk being taken by Newt. 4 vultures do one-shot, 3 vultures one-shot a Mason, so... or 3 vultures one-shot a typical worker. Actually, you do need 4 vultures, come to think of it, to one-shot a Mason. So, tanky boys. 3rd Fulcrum on the way. You can see a little bit of anti-drop mine placement here, which is going to give a pretty big advance warning to HonMonO. However, he is also flying across the map. So let's see. The unload is good to stun everything, and it also attacks, so he's aware of the aggression. Now he's going to go ahead and get another stun off. He's got 2 vultures already. They can duel with the 2 that are now engaged with the vultures, and with the Masons, rather. Nice drill so far. He's only lost the few workers. Great stun pulled off by using his own mines against him. Newt now in a lot of trouble here. His harassment has not done that much, and he's really under the pump. There's a 3rd Fulcrum being made. The Ministry is already done, and mining gas for HonMonO. He's going to go ahead and clear out the remaining mines. And what does Newt have behind this? He did make a 2nd Fulcrum, 3rd on the way. He's got a couple of Cyclops on the high ground and some mines to defend with. So perhaps the threat is potentially over here. But Newt just scouts that expansion and knows he only killed, what, 2 Masons? That is not going to be enough to give himself any sort of advantage. Palladium on the way. We're going to see some Phalanx be rolled out. I love the anti-drop mines from HonMonO. Great places. Makes it really difficult. I mean, obviously over here is a big gap, but... Newt already landed there, and, is he going to try to do that again? Trojan only now making it home anyway. If it pulls units away at this point, I mean, double risk. And this time, I don't think there will be a reward. HonMonO now posturing aggressively, waiting. See what he can do. The mines are going to strike. Might give a little bit of an outsized impact. Hey, 4 Cyclops used to be here. Now they're inside that Trojan. They need to unload ASAP. And a couple more mine hits are going to help them out. This is a lot of splash damage unanswered right now. But still, the Cyclops are very fragile things. Looks like the vultures have been taken care of. A lot of that based on the mine play. HonMonO a little bit sloppy. Hasn't really had to play against that too often. TVT is not a matchup he plays that much. So, no surprises here that maybe the little excess move has been all those mines helping him out. Newt definitely taking an advantage. But he's still down workers. So, HonMonO obviously he has the mechanics. He can make things happen. The Wraith could heckle him in the natural. And he doesn't... Oh, he does have Madrigals on the way, but he doesn't have too much anti-air actually on the field. He has 0 anti-air units right now. The Cyclops seem like they are going to be flying directly underneath the geyser. And the Watchdog is under construction. It will not finish in time. He's actually making one sort of preemptively over here, and the Wraith is going to come in. I don't think it's actually going to kill the Mason before it finishes, or if it does, it doesn't really matter, right? So, first Madrigals are going to pop out here shortly, and here comes the Cyclops drop. Is he going to be aware of this? There's some softened up Masons already. This is the threat for your worker count in a big way. Already clearing way more Masons than before, and he doesn't test them all the way to the natural. That's a huge blunder. The Watchdog Wraith surprise definitely paying off there, as now he's down by 10 workers and counting. And looks like that'll be all she wrote. The Trojan will go down with the ship. But Newt has no Palladium. It's on the way. It's so far away from being complete. The Phalanx count that HonMonO has been building up could be lethal. He's also made a lot of Madrigals, which can be pretty helpful, not just versus air, but when you deploy them, they can send vultures packing in a big way. Looks like a 3rd base was attempted to be constructed there. That's another worker dead, as the Wraith flew away before it could really be disrupted. Decloaked by the mines is a hilarious move, but absolutely a valid one. Well, with that economic damage, I feel like the clock is reset in a big way. They're both making 3rd Ministry. The Wraith is now guarding the 6 o'clock position here, making sure that you can't expand in that direction. There's no detection here for HonMonO. One of the mines is taken out by a Mason. And if he just blindly charges in here, there's been mines refilled. Instead, he's going to set up the soft containment. Phalanx is deployed. You got to start disengaging from this position. The anchors will slowly be torn asunder. It's so dangerous to do that, but if you creep forward one by one, you might be all right. I love pushing forward with the Madrigals to try to kill the anchors. Honestly, he's actually forced to disengage pretty far away, and down goes the first anchor. Now, 1 Madrigal is dead, courtesy of those Cyclops, and now we've got Phalanx on the high ground as well, shellacking what's on the low ground. Newt seems to have bought enough time. He's losing a lot of military forces, but 1 Phalanx going down, the others are within range. This does feel like it'll be all she wrote momentarily here for the push. He killed a couple of Masons in the process. He's actually caught back into a little bit of a worker lead. Newt's momentarily taken the foot off the pedal when it comes to constructing workers. He's actually positioned with this Mason. This feels like it's going to be an Atlas. Maybe he abandons that idea now that his attack has come through. We need to see a lot more rank-and-file chaff here in a moment. Starpad on the way for detection, knowing that he needs to clear those mines and get vision up ramps. Third base landed on location. We have 3 Masons per rotation now for Newt, and HonMonO's the one to abate worker production. Very rare thing. Only pushing with 3 Phalanx. He's got 4 back at home. 2 of them might be on the rally, the other 2 not so. Double Starpad for HonMonO. Interesting to see what he wants to do there. And now on the open ground, you do kind of favor the entrenched player, but not as much as if they were using that cliff advantage. Setting up the soft contain across the bridge. That's Newt's prerogative. 2 more Fulcrums finishing up back at home. Still no tech, aside from what he's already got. Got some Goliaths. Second Starpad coming up. We got an Antseal in production for HonMonO. Second Starpad for Newt. And he's starting to make more Antseals himself. Is he going to try to go for Mass Antseal to break the Phalanx? Feels like it would be a pretty inefficient method of doing it. Vulture's going to sort of pirouette around that 6 o'clock position, looking for a run-by. Not everything is locked down. In fact, mines are only now being laid across the map, across the bridge, and we've got 1 at the third base. The Vultures could try to get in. You can see the Phalanx actually peeling away from reinforcing the front lines as the minefields get cleared. Laid and then cleared. The Vultures are being pursued by a single Wraith. Now, these units wrapping around as they are with the Antseal coming in to reveal some of the mines, that actually should be a bit of a warning sign that perhaps HonMonO is going to be contained onto just 2 bases. Can't quite float over to the 3 o'clock and directly pull workers in. Almost had a big self-stun on those units, but the garrison is more than enough. This feels like a really buttoned-up play from Newt. He's tidied things up a lot. Only question is, can HonMonO break out of this position? The Vulture's actually drawing some of the fire. This is the time to move. In between the shots. Oh, that's a big stun onto the Antseals, but there's no anti-air for Newt. He doesn't need such paltry methods of warfare. One of his Phalanx is not even deployed. Great shellacking of the military across the bridge, but the reinforcements are just going to be Vultures. Not going to help out much at all. None of the Antseals seem to have gone down, however. And Tier 2 now being started up by Newt. So he's been broken in one position. He's got plenty of action down here at the 6 o'clock. If that's where HonMonO wants to go, oh, and it is, he's going to be held at an arm's length. He might lose a lot of workers there. Another stun. I don't know why Masons are on the front line here, but Newt must have a plan with them. Very dynamic so far with this scuffling with the Vultures. HonMonO trying desperately to find what he can. And look at this. He's already lost, what, 6 workers there as the Ministry gets landed, realizing he's got to break another containment position with 5 Phalanx, all deployed this time. This is going to be expensive, or it's going to be slow, and really, time is a resource that he does not have. Lifting the Ministry after it's taken so much damage, the Vultures start screaming forward. Look at that! He could have maybe bought time with the Ministry taking the salvo, but they all go down. That's the expense I was talking about here. Doesn't want to take the time, wants to go now, but he's losing so much. Big stuns onto those Phalanx in the midsection. This reminds me of Brainstorm Aoud 64 falling to Shopdog. However, I feel like the position is a lot worse for HonMonO than it was for our other underdog. One Antseal will finally be cut down, it feels like. Oh no, he's attacking his own Antseal. Or was he? No, I guess that was actually a Newt Antseal. That was confusing. Vultures trying to do a bit of a run by. I don't know that they're going to get more than 1 kill here. Yeah, actually, they should be good for a couple. But, oh, the Antseals are protecting now. He's just trying to run into the main base and scout what he can. Looking for that tier 2. We actually don't see any. He's just being a nuisance. That's what he's being right now. He's actually going to get a kill with it, too. Devastated. Top right, Treasury. Big clump of Phalanx unsieged off to sort of no man's land. 3 o'clock area. A little bit of a cross-bridge force. Some Phalanxes trying to entrench at 12 o'clock. This feels like HonMonO has a small chance to actually bust this because there's only, what, 3 of these Phalanxes are deployed? But it won't take long for Newt to press the buttons. Oh, big stun onto all the ant seals prevents them from shielding anything. But there's all the clump. We were talking about that. And the phalanxes mostly had just abandoned the position anyway. That's a big salvo, though. Takes down a lot of the supportive units. When you only have phalanx, it becomes a lot less scary. Mantles are being constructed. Newt in a little bit of a tech transition right now. But unless HonMonO can break him here, I feel like it doesn't matter. A couple more impactful salvos. One more shot, not able to kill any phalanxes. He's got more coming and parking on the high ground. The ant seals are going to have to do a lot of work here to try to shield, and HonMonO does not have them in a good position. There we go. We've got more phalanxes coming out. 5 more in production, and most of them are going to pop pretty soon. You can see the anchor floating just to sack a little bit of attention. The Madrigal's busy dealing with that. The Phalanx is just deploying on the spot. This is the scariest position you can be in as a Terran player, having your opponent's forces entrenched right in front of your rally point. Newt's making Gorgons. Newt's mantles are done, but he's not doing anything with them right now. All of his phalanxes are coming out in sync now, but it took a while for that to happen, and he's going to end up losing all the workers in his natural. Remember, the third base is untouched right now. I think it might even still have some reinforcements Newt might be able to use if he scrambles them over and gets rid of all those Madrigals. There's nothing to shoot back up at the sky. You can see him even targeting down the Goliath there, but it's not quite enough for the first one. Oh, unless the ant seals are being leveraged here, it feels like that Gorgon could be destined for greatness. Just push this whole push back, but we got more Madrigals coming in, and the Ministry itself will be destroyed. There are no more phalanxes. They're all going to be moving across the map next rotation, because everything here is Madrigals. HonMonO, he's cracked open the natural, but this does not feel over. Newt still has play. A mining base. Third base is in flux now. HonMonO has actually put that one together. Remember the treasury in the top right, but there's not so many Masons there. Humongous Mind Stun is going to block the ant seals from shielding much of anything. All of their energy's drained. Goliath's standing tall. The Madrigal's trying to deploy in the face of all of that phalanx fire. They might be able to overwhelm this little group of units that Newt seemingly forgot about, but even that seems too tall in order for our South Korean. A well-fought game so far. Very back and forth. Double Star Pad Antseal has been helping Newt out, helping HonMonO out. Bit of an arms race. We got lots of Goliaths coming out as well. You can see that Newt is concerned about the amount of ant seals on the other side. He's adding cataphracts, slowly but surely, resetting his natural as it is not nearly mined out yet. Bottom left ministry being constructed for HonMonO. Demoloon delivering. More fulcrums. He does not want tier 2 right now. He just wants more fulcrums. No sieves. No sieves for either player, huh? No gas caps at all. Kind of wild. Army rotations found out, but look, across the map, there's more. More phalanxes. And without any like pivot into wraiths or anything like that for HonMonO, it's very difficult for him to clear these positions. He has 2 star pad, but he's only been using them to make ant seals, really. I don't think he's made a Trojan even to try to combat drop. Leaving some options on the table. Now this army, this feels like it's the make or break moment, and HonMonO does not appear to be trading efficiently enough for his position. Now he doesn't actually need to sack everything for this bottom left. He could have just allowed Newt to take it and reinforce 6 o'clock instead. But as of right now, it looks like Newt is going to both cancel the bottom left and finish off all these phalanx with reinforcements coming in. The ant seals are trying their best to shield, but it's not nearly enough to protect those phalanxes. Cataphract goes down. The ministry is not actually canceled, it's finished. But it will eventually be torn down unless it lifts off and gets out of there. Canceling out whatever that was for Newt. He's trying to put down something. Another mantle. Feeling like he needs more katas. And trying to push across the bridge, but that's a failed enterprise. HonMonO doesn't feel like he has too many options. A lot of these phalanxes are quite low. But first he's got to get through the ant seal shielding, apparently. And he just can't quite do that. Didn't right-click on top of the phalanxes. And he has to concede. GG. Newt has actually managed to strangle him out. That was a slim pickings. But we have ourselves another victor. And that means HonMonO, unfortunately, having to fall down to the lower bracket. Newt has taken his head, and we go to the winners' final. On the other side, it seems AUD64 has taken out Art of Turtle, if I'm not mistaken. I'm just going to go ahead and double-check that. Alrighty. Doglive's playing versus Daedrid right now on Acid Test. That's a TVP. Ayud picks map versus Newt, so we'll probably cast that best of 3. And let's see what else. I don't have reports for MicroGreen over Sopas or Daedrid over Doglived yet, so we'll wait for those. It looks like Jujic has hosted Doglived Daedrid, so they're still underway. Okay. So we got a MicroGreen victory there. All right, Ayud has selected Near Impact for his map 1. These guys don't typically pick Crisis Vector, which I appreciate. I know that Ayud likes Knife's Edge, Newt likes Punch Drunk. Ayud needs to restroom, and then he'll be in. Little water closet break, as the Europeans like to say. What's going on, AOT? And hello, Wolfmaw. Good morning. Yeah, it's been that was a really cool TVT, honestly. Like, I haven't seen that many TVTs lately. I have no idea how by the numbers that was, but I felt like either player had a winning shot there. Obviously, HonMonO could have won the game with vultures at the beginning, but he didn't know that, and it's difficult to know that just intuitively. You don't want to like lose your first vulture when you scout with the mines. Like if the units are actually there and you get stunned with your scout, then you're just dead, right? You have no recourse because you lose the vulture, and you're not dead. Like, the game isn't over, but the vultures are dead, and then you're behind. And so it is scary to do that kind of move. Okay. So Art of Turtle versus MicroGreen, another ZVZ there. That'll be interesting. I believe the other matchup that I need, I'm looking for replays for... We have Ayud versus Daedrid. Jujic will send me the replay for that. I have the replay of HonMonO MicroGreen. Oh yeah, let me message. I'm just telling Newt what was going on with the BO3 and the fact that Ayud was BRB. Yeah, we're into the best of 3s already, which is good timing. Yeah, I think Jujic is hosting for Doglived Daedrid, and then he'll probably host for HonMonO winner of that, which I suppose will be Doglived, but I haven't seen Daedrid's Protoss. I have no idea how good he is. Maybe he's secret Gosu on Protoss. Good luck, Everett Samo, a.k.a. Art of Turtle. HonMonO didn't even know how Anseals works. Props to this man. Did he? Did he post somewhere else about that? Oh. I hate TVT, HonMonO said. I don't have enough brain cells to play TVT. Okay, that's a Doglived victory, so now HonMonO will be playing against... Yeah, HonMonO just picks Crisis Vector, of course. I agree, Sopas. TVT is fun. It's so cool. Just, I can't believe you would shit talk Vilius like that. It blinks. I don't know about that one. HonMonO having a connection issue, I think. That's alright. Jujuk will figure that out. I'm gonna drop that on the ground. So how are we doing today, guys? Having a good time? Having a good Cosmonarchy weekend wage day? Personally, I'm quite looking forward to seeing where we're going with the meta, if you will, the 1v1 meta. Although I'm also pretty excited about just getting up to 2v2s and stuff as we improve stability over and over again. Sunday X. Weekend wage today? Yeah. Yeah. What are you guys doing later, Godweek? If I may know. Woohoo! Yeah, hopefully you're having a good time playing those campaign maps. I haven't seen any of them. Three. What's going on, Arbuz? You missed a really cool TVT between Newt and HonMonO. And before that, we had a tentatively neat HonMonO versus MicroGreen bout. I feel like a lot of the good games, like the really exciting games, I probably have missed in the lower bracket. But we'll see what happens as we get a little bit closer. This tournament had one Protoss, and it was Daedrid, and he's out already. Everybody else was Terran or Zerg. And so far, who else did we see? We saw a Terran get eliminated, a Zerg get eliminated, and we have a TVT happening right now in the lower bracket, so we'll see another Terran get eliminated. So that leaves us with a Z, a T, and a Z and a T. So yeah, perfectly balanced, of course. Remove toss. All right, we finally have an AUD 64. Let me go ahead and... this whole time I haven't actually changed my overlay, so I'll fix that real quick. It was funny, because HonMonO got shoved to the right side for Newt, and now Newt's getting shoved to the right side for AUD 64, because left is higher seed. And so that's just been how it is. Okay. I can't believe Newt has selected Protoss. As God intended, yeah. I feel it's sad because Oya is so good, but him and Ziki have been busy. Him and Ziki are playing a StarCraft 1 tournament today. So they were not available. All right, lads, we're getting into our first map between Newt and AUD 64. We are going to the brave world of Near Impact. And I'm going to go ahead and drop a save on this image and then get us into the game. Oh, and it says best of 1 still, but don't worry, it's actually best of 3. I'll fix that in a second. So in the top left of Near Impact, another wonderful, wonderful map by Jujic, we have Newt. He appears to be Cordovan again? Or no, is this... I'm going to say Cordovan. Yeah, it's Cordovan Terran. AUD 64 is in the bottom right as Zerg. First time tournament match as Zerg. And he is Magma? No, Sunglow. Sunglow Zerg. It does have a surprising lack of Godweed, except... yeah, I guess you participated in 3 out of 5 of them now, so that is the majority still. Your streak is starting to become less of a streak and more of a spatter. But that's alright. We still love you. Hydrith Den opening for AUD 64, so I guess maybe MicroGreen wasn't lacking on the meta after all, if AUD is doing that. I've heard back and forth things about, like, Hydrith countering mech and doing okay into bio, but, like, now Pool's starting to resurge, and so I don't know what people are doing there. It's always interesting to me when, you know, we have such a small sample size compared to, like, this isn't like a game that has the StarCraft 2 player base of 1v1 or StarCraft Remastered player base of 1v1. So when people get this idea in their head that, like, a certain thing is good or a certain thing is bad, it spreads fast, and then you just don't have much recourse there. But this is an interesting little pivot away where the Huracan has actually moved away off to the side. The Mason scouted the Droleth scout, and so Newt knew that he needed to get out of there. And so this Maverick looks pretty ordinary. I can't believe Aoud would try to do some damage to the Maverick of all things. That feels a bit silly. But now the Azira cores are going to come up, and the Huracan is just kind of pocketed in the bottom left. I imagine what we'll end up seeing is that the Azira cores will leave the base, and then the Huracan is going to try to move based on an intuition timing, which does necessarily make this a little bit risky as a choice, but not impossible to work out. Not impossible. The first Azira core already leaving. Got another one hatching soon, and it will be a Larvosk. So at some point, the Huracan's going to pop in there. I think this is going to collide with this Azira core. I can't see any way for it to not. And so, yeah, the Huracan will end up just kind of walking past it and doing as much damage as it can. As you can see, it's going to take 20 hits from the Azira core to kill the Huracan directly, but the Droleths are helping out a little bit. Now, at the same time, this Azira core is just dead, and one worker has gone down. So, a pretty successful harassment campaign from the Huracan. It resulted in a dead Azira core on the front that Aoud couldn't micro about, and a pretty reasonable amount of eco damage in terms of lost mining time and a dead worker. You're looking for any little thing you can do to set the Zerg behind. And so Newt should be happy about that. He's got 2 more Huracans on the way, and he's going to build an anchor on the front line. Keep his Mavericks safe and ready for action at the nearest opportunity. He's already got 2 more Huracans pivoted off. This could be so deadly because the Ovaleth is on the way. That's clearly here for a drop. Enough Mavericks can deal with that. He's actually moving across the map with this at the same time. This is going to pull Aoud's attention fully away from where the Huracans are going, even though the Ovaleth is there. He has not actually looked over there at that position. Now he's going to see it, so it's a little bit different, but this is a great timing attack from Newt. He stands a really good chance at getting some good damage dealt. Another Azira core on the high ground, though. He's got 4 of them in total. This can try to dismantle this, but 2 Huracans, look, they're going to do so much damage to this worker line. One of them wasn't actually attacking, so that's unfortunate, but that should be 3 different workers going down. Oh, he actually misses the one that was burrowed, and he did end up pulling away from attacking with the rest of the army. So a little bit of fear there, maybe Newt choking up a little bit, but an excellent move overall. I really liked the way that he was going with pace there. By the way, his ministry is up. He's adding more production in the meanwhile. A 3rd stockade and a star pad, starting to filter Cyprians in. It's on Aoud's, it's really a lot on Aoud's plate now to try and counter that. He's so far behind worker-wise, and when you have to spend all this effort remaking workers, you're not making military. Your army is static. So he essentially just has the 5 Azira cores, 3 of which will be ferried in. He'll probably try to elevator everything. Newt already pre-positioning, as he did scout where that Ovaleth was, just the fact that it exists at all. He's got a reasonable front line with the Cyprians and the bio behind it. And there it is. The drop is going to have to come in, but it's not going to go very well, it feels like. Now, credit to Aoud. He's taking a navigational path in that's pretty novel. He's going for the natural instead. But it does feel like Newt must have seen it with the anchor or something, so this whole attack is over before it begins. And now Aoud has to, unfortunately, macro his way out of this. Going for the ski back, expanding to his natural. He's not going to get any counter damage to try to make it a more fair game. And we have a Trojan on the way. The counter drop will be a big deal that now suddenly Aoud has to deal with. He's across the map with all of his military. He's making a couple of Hydras. The Ovaleth doesn't have anything in it now, but there is bio ready to shoot it down. Maybe he can try to go for a run-in, but he just has such a small army compared to what he would maybe normally have at this kind of turn. So he can't do a thing offensively. Not right now. Definitely a winning position for Terran on this map. This is a best of 3. Our first one, the upper final. Winner is going to be seeded directly into the grand final. Loser will have to fight through the lower bracket and win at least one more match in order to make it back to the grand final, the challenge. Though you could just be eliminated twice if you lose in the upper final. That happened to Hamster 2 weekend wages ago. He was dropped, I forget by who. I think it might have been Zeki, and then I think Arbuz got him, funnily enough, so this is pretty interesting. Now, a drop with only 2 Trojans, not bad, but not game-ending. Wants to keep a little bit more value on his doorstep in case Aoud gets it in his head that he can attack. And some combat units are being made here by Aoud at his natural. I'm a little bit worried about the timing for him, though. He has no advance warning for drops. He really doesn't have much static defense at all, just 1 Circuith by the gas. If he keeps these Bactylisks at home, then he's fine. He can pull those away. He's probably going to lose some workers, so it's still not great. But he won't be dead in the water. And it looks like that's exactly where we're going to be here, with Aoud having to pivot away the rest of his army. He actually shoos the Trojans away. That's surprising. Feels like the Trojans could have actually just unloaded and gone for worker kills. Instead, he's going to go after the Larvosk. Not a bad move. The Bactylisks have to come back up. And he's actually just going to try to engage here. He kills the Hydras, or should. But he goes away with the Larvosk. He loses a couple of Mavericks. And the Bactyls show themselves, and so he gets the hell out of there. Iziricor is trying to head off the Trojans, but they aren't going very far. They're going to stick around at the 6 o'clock. Try to get what they can get. 5 Stockades thrumming, double star pad for whatever Newt might need. He's making tons of Cyprians. A little dangerous to do versus Mass Bactyl. They do fall off quite a bit, but... I mean, you can combat drop Harakans. I'd love to see combat drop Cyprians. It's kind of goofy, but... I could see it working when you have this many. Third base, 9 o'clock. Rather, 3 o'clock. Aoud is going to be taking that. No third in sight for Newt as far as where he wants to put it, but he does have his ministry. Okay, so this is pretty clearly going to be the 11 o'clock spot. And a great drop to cancel out the 3. He can't finish that. He's going to have to cancel it, lose the worker, and there goes the Trojan. Now, remember, that is not one of the Trojans that came in. If Aoud was super astute, he would have clicked on the Trojans and seen that they were both damaged, and that one was full. So unless it went all the way back home to get repaired, which is possible, it is not the same Trojan, and there's actually 3 Trojans worth of combat units out on the map right now, not at home, not defending, not in a blob. Avaleth coming back in for a scout. Bio units will take care of this. No problem whatsoever. And now they can probably abandon their little post up there and link up with the rest of the army. So that does carry with it a little bit of a risk. You saw Newt was thinking about attacking with that drop at the same time. He might attack 3 o'clock first, and Aoud falls away, going for the Tethvith Swamp. A random Maverick stimming through, sees where the army is. Now he knows he has a roam. A little bit of an opportunity to drop here. No more Harakans, so this is going to be held at an arm's length, it feels like. He's just going to go ahead and load it up after forcing an evacuation. The Hydra's birth. Here we go. Attack in from the base that... the drop that killed the 3rd earlier. Doesn't get too much action there, but that's all right. The Trojan will cycle away. Adding more Larvosks, it seems, Aoud is. Unless that's going to be a Spraith or something. We'll keep an eye on it, but... There's a pretty big bio throng. The problem is, I feel like the Zerg army has gotten super huge. Those 2 Trojans existing on the outskirts, that's going to be a 3rd Circuit in the main base. Doesn't suck for anti-drop. Newt's been fancy with it, but I don't know if he's scaled up his approach here. He's making more Anseals. He's got a couple of them already out. A trio, if you will. More Bactyls. The Tethvith Swamp is done. We could see Tetzoricors. But Aoud's not going to wait for that right now. Some Shamans exist. I'm still really worried about it. I mean, the Bactyl count is 8. That's a very respectable number. But there is a lot more bio than that. Mavericks aren't stimming. Now they are. Harakans are going to help deal with the Iziricors. The front line's starting to splatter. More Anseals reinforcing the position. The Shaman are too far away to heal at this point. But it looks like the Harakans have been able to connect onto Aoud's under-strength force. And it turns out Newt had more than enough there to break this position, to break these lines. Aoud has 6 Iziricors on the way, but I feel like this might be over. I can't imagine him stopping this Terran army from pushing down his natural, ignoring the 3rd entirely, and just killing him. Going for a fatal move. Man, being burned alive by the Harakan damage, that's a new way to go. Ahmed indeed, says Green Eggs. Yeah, the Iziricors are going to get spawn camped here. The Hacharosk is dead. Aoud making some Tetzoricors, but that is not going to be enough. He needs like 10 Lakes or a bunch of Ultra Cores or something, you know what I mean? He just doesn't have the tech for that. And I think what you're mostly seeing here is the culmination of all of that economic damage earlier that allowed Newt to get so far ahead. And he's made a lot of Trojans in the aftermath, and he's not made the most units. He doesn't have the most production. He's adding his Atlas now, but he doesn't need all of that necessarily. There's a treasury going down at the Smiley Face Internal 12, and he's going to go ahead and cancel that out. He's grabbing his Trojans from earlier and loading them up for a drop, and there's just not that many units here from Aoud. Now, these are pretty tanky boys, but the Harakans to get the armor rend, that's big. And GG has to be called. Ayud has been pushed off the ledge. Newt claims victory on Ayud's map pick and can pick map 2. I'm pretty impressed. I'm not going to lie, guys. That was a pretty solid victory there. It felt like Newt was never really in much danger, thanks to his opener. We'll see if that makes Ayud reconsider. So it can't be near impact, but it can be anything else. He can pick Demoloon again if he wants. He can pick Knife's Edge or Punch Drunk. Newt stole my strats and then did them better. Classic move. And we still got time. I should be able to finish out this best of 3, even if it goes a bit long. And maybe do... I think that's it for... Like, all the best of 1s are already accounted for, right? So... Apparently Dog-Lived and HonMonO must be locked in combat. For this whole time. It'll be Punch Drunk indeed. Nice little 4-spawn map for Ayud and Newt to do battle. Loser is not eliminated, but rather sent to the lower final. The penultimate match of the whole tournament. Newt doing well. And, you know, I think Shopdog struggles versus Ayud Zerg, and I'm wondering what's different about how Newt approached it. Because I would think Shopdog's a better player than Newt, but here we are. Looking at Newt up 1-0. Let's see if he can convince us, he can complete the upset, or if we're going to be seeing a little bit different stories come to foot if Ayud will make the comeback a reality. They're sharing the right side of the map on Punch Drunk, a port of knockout. Ayud is our Sunglow Zerg once again. And in the bottom right, we have Newt as the Coyote Brown? Just Brown Terran. Vilius beat Ayud yesterday. Okay, all right. Newt had a little bit more practice versus Zerg. Oh, maybe. Maybe that's true, Arbuz, but Shopdog, he said that he plays until he doesn't have fun anymore. By the way, this is like an instant Mason move, and he's going to go ahead and build a stockade pretty far forward. Not quite a 2/3 proxy where it is right now, but that's interesting as a choice. He's doing some silly strats. Well, there you go. That wasn't what he did today wasn't very silly, in my opinion. So Rusty Pit's buildable in Cosmonarchy, and he could also have pocketed it over here. So we'll see what exactly he wants to do. The Hydrothen is on the way. Newt played Ayud right before the tourney. Interesting. Soap has also got some practice versus Dog-Lived. Unfortunately, it didn't quite prepare him, it seems. But I appreciate him gaming anyway, and hopefully he sticks around. Jujictile! But yeah, there's always the practice gaming happening. I remember that. Ayud's going to go ahead and scout bottom right. That means that they will scout each other first, which is better for Newt. A second stockade being made, but in a much more normal location, and the Hurakan is going to be waypointed towards the bridge. Oh, interesting. The Droleth falls away. What is he doing that for? He just assumes... Oh, all he thinks he needs to know is where he is. He doesn't think he needs to know what he is doing. Newt, being a little bit of a cheesy boy here, is going to send that Hurakan out, and the Droleth going all the way home. I mean... Let's see. When does the Azirikor start? Right now. Okay. I mean, I think the Hurakan's going to be there before it finishes, and it's only going to be one anyway. Remember how long it takes Hurakans to die to an Azirikor. It's 20 Azirikor hits. You know, the Droleths are going to be able to help a little bit there. Not quite an even conversion. First Hurakan is here. The Azirikor is not even done yet.
We've got Zerg here.
We do have Zerg here, but we might not for much longer, man. That's a dead Droleth. And another one. Oh, this is bad news. This is very bad news for Ayud. Not quite able to get that third, so there's a little bit of glimmer. Second Azirikor going to happen. But remember, this is how Ayud lost that last game, man. And look, he's pocketing more. He's got 2 Hurakans and a Maverick pocketed at the third. He's waiting for the Azirikor move out. And if it doesn't happen, then, I mean, what's even the problem, right? Like, he's going to have an early warning system as well. No, I think Ayud's going to play this a lot safer. I don't think he's going to move out of his base. He's kind of wise to the tactics. The Stockade's going to float over to start making a bit of a pseudo wall. And we will see an expansion come out pretty soon here based on the money that Newt has in the bank. Second Larvosk, this is to stop Hurakan run-bys if possible. Hey, Shop Dog's in the chat. What's up, man? Ministry gets put down. Here's the Stamage Maverick to see what's going on. He's actually going to get all the way in. I don't think he thought he would, because the Hurakans would probably have arrived along with it. He's like, wait a second, I can actually just do that run-by? All right. Well, the Hydras are out now. Now, this might allow Aoud to think, okay, I can just move across the map. But he can't. He absolutely can't. If that anchor lifted off and moved across the map with him, that would be a different story. Get that little airlift going. But Newt's going to play it a little bit safer. He's got his pocketed Hurakans. He'll wait for the Zerg to be on his doorstep and then go for it. Expansion coming down here for Aoud, who wants to try to recover from that deficit. Man, Newt's kind of really good at doing that kind of... If you think about it, Newt has done that to Shambler. Newt has done that to Arbuz. He has done to so many Zergs the move where he just kills 2 workers at the beginning of the game and they're just behind. It's kind of easy. I guess that's how he's like, yeah, what is the problem? ZVT? TVZ? It's easy. What's the big deal? I'm inclined to agree with that. Now, this does bait out the Hurakans. There's nothing here for them to do. One of them is almost dead already from all the Hydra attacks, and so they're going to try to get the hell out of Dodge, but there's also an Izirker coming. Hi. Goodbye. The fade away. Anti-drop defense coming up inside the main base as we have a Circuit and another Kagrin. That is also going to be a Circuit. The ski back on the way. The second base nearly complete. The 64 is taking his natural, but it's very far behind what Newt has. Up 6 workers and counting. Unloading the Mavericks. The Cyprian's stuck, so he's going to have to wait for that. Oh, he actually cancels out the Maverick. That feels a little wasteful. But he's found a little pocket, indeed. All right, he's just getting the Cyprians in there. That's all he's doing. I thought he might have been fancying a move out, because he does have this bulk of units up here in the anti-drop position. Vestry on the way for Newt. He wants those Shamans quick, knowing he's likely going to be going up against Skibacked again. I think when you see the Hydrith opener, that is a big thing that you look for in general. So... I just got a message from Jujic that said HonMonO and Doglived are trying to play the longest game in Cosmonarchy history. So I have no idea what to expect about that game. Wild. All right. Well, aside from that, we have the 3 Shamans. We got plenty of Cyprians. Looks like an easy leapfrog to a 3rd base here for a Zerg player, since Newt is playing a bit more on the passive side. He's actually making an anchor. He doesn't want watchdogs, really. He wants anchor instead. Four Bactyls for Aoud. 2 Hydras. Yeah, just getting up that stockade count. He's going up to 6 on 1 base. He's unloading the anchor. He's going to bring everything, all hands on deck. If we actually look at the amount of units that Aoud has, he can't contest in the open field. Although there are no ant seals here to kind of mask the frontal approach, but the Shaman count is pretty good. I think he'll be all right. 3rd base on the way. He can come in here and just stop this mineral only from being taken. So the freedom that I talked about earlier is a little bit expiring now. The window is over. All this anti-drop defense, but not a single star pad. Only now do we see that starting at 7 minutes. Already a bit of a victory there. He's actually going to ignore the ramp up, and he's just going to go after the 3rd base in a more conventional route. And a lot of these Izircors are going to get bruised before it happens. Now, he's going to try to engage here because all of the units are funneled in. Cyprians are still going to be able to range down everything over here. Hurakan's busy dealing with these units off to the side. Now they go and turn their attention towards the Izircors, but look at how far reduced the attack has gotten. Newt is in a lot of trouble right now. It doesn't maybe look like it yet, but these units are going to fall immediately, and he's not going to be able to reset the army count that much. Bactyls were ranging for so far, so long, and everything off to the right-hand side was also pretty much unchallenged. Not a great engagement point. If he had tried to go in from this smaller ramp over here, or maybe wrap all the way around, though there is a risk to that as well, I feel like he would have been in a lot better of a position. Now, at this point, his ministry is done, but he can't lift it to really go anywhere, unless he wants to go all the way to 6 o'clock and hope AU doesn't scout it. His star pad's done, but he's only making the 1 ant seal right now, and that's all he can make. He's adding 4 more stockades. This feels like a bit of an emergency pivot that Newt wasn't really hoping to do. Instead, he wanted to see what he could make happen with a more faster tier 2. It's true, Green Eggs. If he had 800 Hurricanes, he definitely would have... Canvassing the map, looking for any hidden bases. There are none to find. Aoud will confirm that, however, and he's got a couple of Iziricors inside Ovoleths. Going to be a 6 Izzy drop. There is an anchor down here with Cyprians, but that's not going to be enough to handle both Ovoleths full. Now we got that mineral only going to be taken up here pretty soon. Aoud not yet ahead in terms of worker count, so his economy is actually not that far ahead of Newt's. It's probably not ahead at all. You look at the sieves. We don't have any gas caps here. Oh, I tell a lie, but it's not being mined from, so no effective gas caps here for our Zerg player. In fact, he's not even double mining on the ridge in his main base, so his gas income is definitely lower than it ought to be, than it could be. He has his Zorka's Shroud out, though, and he is making some Zor use and some Lakes. Adding some more anti-drop defense to his natural, it looks like. Keeping money low. And now Newt's going to go ahead and start waypointing Masons over to that mineral only. Armies are going to square up in the middle of the map here onto the right-hand side. Those drops are earmarked in. We have some units going to pop out of these anchors here, or these Mavericks stockades pretty soon. But the drop is going to be complete in just a moment. At the same time, Newt's going to have to scramble to try to do something versus this frontal attack, which is also going to be very deadly. His Masons are not being evacuated. The Iziricors are slowly being peppered down, and actually they're aggroing onto the Cyprian anchor. This is not something that Aoud is paying too close attention to. The Mavericks stim forward, trying their best to help out where they can. Looks like this drop, it did some damage. I see, 4 Mason corpses on the ground? Actually, maybe 5. There's like a double stack over there. But the frontal attack was held at an arm's length during that time, I would say. Newt comes out looking pretty good from that engagement. And as soon as he saturates his main base again and his third base, he's going to have a lot of minerals to spend. Nowhere close to getting that tier 2 that he so desperately covets, but perhaps if he can leapfrog into a 4th base from here, that would be a different story. 12 o'clock has been taken, but it's just mineral harvesting right now going on for Aoud. Is that really where he feels the most gated? A Trojan on the way. He actually does have a couple already out. Oh, okay, this is going to be Combat Huracan drop, and I really hope that he can be on the ball with this. It's a really great idea. It's something that we haven't actually seen make a huge resurgence into the metagame, but it could be a great way to try to short-circuit the Bactylisks. Problem is they're already pretty well spread, and there's so damn many of them. The Ant Seals are going to be posturing ahead of time. The Trojans are going to be on a separate control group here, and they're going to be dropping in later on. It looks like we have a very high amount of that. There is going to be a desperate drop, just kind of emergently clicked off towards that natural base. The treasury at the 6 o'clock is going to go ahead and be taken out, and we're going to see an anchor and a treasury be made at the 3rd base instead. The Trojans are here. The Trojans are here. He's got 18 Hurricanes inside all 3 of them, but the Ant Seals are already snapped. So that's it for that. He needs to make this drop work. He needs to go now. Oh, they're all blowing up without a single unload. I think that's it. I think Aoud is just going to take it just then and now. He has lost everything at the natural, but there's nothing to stop this horde of Zerg from bearing down upon Newt's position across the bridges. We're going to have to call GG here in a moment, unless there can be some sort of absolutely miraculous defense. It's only Cyprians being made at home, as well as the 1 Ant Seal. The Maverick stim a little bit late. Mason's being pulled away from the 3rd base. I think they're just here to try to add a little bit of softening to the targets, and the Ant Seal comes out, but the position is overrun. The anchors are empty. They're shattered. They're ruins. Pulverized by acid and claw. And you might not have gotten very far with the Lake is, but Aoud, he strikes back on your map pick. The drop came up over here and did nothing at all to that static defense. And as the last of Newt's forces crumble, if he had map vision, if he knew that there was 12 o'clock, he would have GG'd a while ago. That's it. We're going the full distance on this one. Aoud striking back. Very solid there. The problem is he only got 2 worker kills. He needed 5 worker kills. That's just the way it is, guys. I don't make the rules. I don't even know if it was clicked. I think the bounces had already done the damage. The problem is the ant seals were snapped before, so he couldn't shield them on the way in. We go to Battle Spectre for the decider. We'll see if Ayud can weather the storm. Buff Ahmed so he can survive a crashing Trojan. Yeah, Hurricanes specifically have the anchor unload thing going on, but for all transports that they're in. GG's Green Eggs, thanks for hanging out. You know, Arbiz keeps saying to add 20 HP to the Vulture, but what if I add 20 HP to the Huracan? Anybody ever think of that? We're rocking on a bike and we got a deal. Ghost Rider, holy shit. That's some good stuff right there, guys. Alright, Newt has arrived. Wait for him to select Terran and then we'll be pretty much off to the races here. Battle Spectre is a map where you are forced cross spawn, if you guys didn't know. 1-1, tie it up. It's a best of 3, so the next match determines it all. We are going to this jungle map by Biddy B. And we will see where we go from here. In the top right, our Terran challenger, the Alice Blue Newt. And in the bottom left, our Zerg Titan, seed number 1, our Sunglow Zerg. Ayud 64. We'll see what he can do. By the way, guys, we are $12 away from funding the DeWalt Boneth show match, at which point I can then open funding for the Indie Mixu show match, and then we can open funding for a new show match. So if you guys want to donate to that, streamlabs.com/pronago. I'll write it in the chat. It would be much appreciated. Always a good way to provide some value and get a little bit of action going there. If you want to support the project in general, you can go to our Ko-fi page. It's also a pretty cool link. Show match chain reaction. Yeah, exactly. Well, if you think about it, the reaction of show matches has been a lot of people are interested in the project that weren't interested before. I think that's where like MicroGreen and stuff came from, is they saw StarCraft 1 pros playing. And now we got some StarCraft 2 pros playing. Mixu said he's down to play some weekend wages and stuff in November, and there is going to be a best of 5 single elimination tournament in November as well, a qualification into the Battleman stage of Acropolis 4. So maybe we'll see him there. Ayud is going to go ahead and shoo away Newt's Mason. There is a stimmed Maverick moving across the map. That's going to be his way of trying to get some action going. Hydra on the way instead of the Izira Core does train faster. Can micro a little bit versus these units a little bit better too. Maverick actually turning back around. What is Newt thinking over here with this pocketed Mason? Unlikely to ever be scouted by Ayud, but is he going to make something over there, or is he just going to rescout later? That remains to be seen. It is the Hydra versus Bio, but the Hydra first is very different. It means that you can't skirmish versus larger amounts of, early game Bio units, but you can stop your first unit from, getting killed a little bit easier. And it will be an anchor proxied over, so Newt wants to remain a little bit cheesy. Honestly, he's got the Mavericks for this. If he kind of just runs in the front with the Hurricanes and the excess Mav, and he throws in the 4 Mavericks to the anchor and lifts over and tries to land by the geyser or something, he can do a lot of damage to the economy. This Izira Corps will move across the map and see some of this army movement, it feels like. Yep. Is he going to get suspicious by the fact that he's moving down south? Right? Like, Newt's now trying to posture and make it look like, no, I'm just trying to pressure you in the front, dude. But at some point, he is going to need to pivot away. He's got 1 Maverick off to the side to watch for other units, it looks like. That's his game plan there. He's actually kind of shooing the Izira Corps towards the anchor, and it's going to reveal the strat. Or is it? He didn't see it! He did not see the anchor. Dude, there's no way he saw that. And now, Newt's kind of go because he might think that he did, but there's no... AU did not see the anchor at all. He did not see it. I swear, I promise you, I promise upon everything I know as a commentator, there is no way. So the elevator is good, and Newt has time to double back. Now he see... Okay, now he's moving over. He's like, wait a second, where'd those units go? And he spotted it there, but yeah. That's just 6th sense. He would have moved his units immediately if he had seen the anchor, right? Or try to, like, charge across the map or something. That's a really risky moment for Newt, honestly. He's expanding now. Has another anchor on the other side. He unloads it and lets the Masons start to repair. Good for Newt that we fixed the bug where if it constantly starts and stops repairing, it drains more money. We fixed that a long time ago. Bitty tile. Alright, this Izira Corps is pretty wounded still, so not the best unit to move. Oh man, this is so scary. Newt, you gotta be on point here, buddy. He's going to go ahead and try to finish the job on that Izira Corps, but it is going to get away. And now, oh, the Burrow Micro is big. He's got all these units over here, but he's totally lost the plot. He's forgotten about it. He needs to get them going. He needs to get them sent up, and he's just not quite doing it yet. Instead, the anchor's floating over here, but there's nothing in it. The 1 Mason following it over to repair it some more. Oh, dear. What are we doing here, Newt? You got the 2 Hurricanes, 2 Mavericks inside the anchor. Okay, maybe he can hold that. That's a lot of Izira Corps, man. That is such a scary amount. I guess he'll block the expansion, but look! Hey, it just walks past. Oh, no! What a heartbreaking way to lose the series. Newt just kind of bungled some early micro. He looked so good in Game 1, but he was not able to get up to the same antics Game 2, and Game 3 just did not quite work out for him. Down to 12 workers and falling. He might be able to clean this up with the units that he's got. And let's see if he can do anything on the comeuppance after. These units aren't even stemmed. He might not even finish the job. No, just barely he will. 8 more Izira Corps on the way, man. This is not going to work. He'll set up the anchor, but I don't think you got to worry about that when that's what you got cooking. 10 workers. That's all Newt has. Cancels out the star pad. God damn. I don't know how to pronounce your username there, sir, but hello to you as well. Maybe you might be able to tell me. Your username is just your name, it looks like, but you might be able to tell me. Yeah, that's a wrap on this little push forward. Ayud's going to drop his expand. And saving grace here is that Newt has double ministry, but he's going to need way more firepower to defend against everything that Ayud just made. Google tells me, or not Google, but DuckDuckGo tells me that that is Mark Carter. Well, hello, Mark, if that's your name. If that is your real name. Pretty low on workers right now. Let's see what Newt can do about that. He's only got 20 at this time, and, you know, Ayuda has the same amount, but he's Zerg. He's allowed to do that. 3 Bactals, 10 Izira Corps. Watchdog will draw a little bit of fire here. Oh boy. Oh dear. There's no Hurricanes for the Armor End. The Cyprians are going to get a lot less value as a result, and the bust is in. I think that's a wrap here. It was looking grim anyway, but Newt wanted to play it out just in case he could come back in. The Mavericks stimming their lives like they depend on it, because they do. And the Masons, they're going to try to overwhelm the Azira cores here a little bit. You can see he's screwing up the targeting just ever so slightly. Newt's back down to 15 workers. He closes the distance onto the backdolls. Then they turn back into Hydras, though, and then they kill the rest of your Mavs. He's making more, but it's going to be a while. He's got one Stimmin' boy left. That's it. Oh dear. Well, the advantage is no longer Terran. It was advantage Terran in the first map. That was pretty much it. He's actually adding more stockades. A bold choice. Refusing to give up the ghost just yet. Ayud smells blood in the water. Gonna add the anti-drop defenses to cross his T's, dot his I's. Ridge cap over in the main base. I don't know. Skither cores are gonna heckle the main base. Yeah, there is no way that the Watchdogs can be afforded at this point. I would like Terrans to study what Newt did in Game 1, but at the same time, I think Ayud will be pretty good at dealing with it later on. He's proven adaptable. Part of the army scouted by the Watchdog. I guess there is a Watchdog that's affordable. Second anchor being made, but there's nothing over here to defend the main. Mavericks are going to have to scramble after those Skiths, and there's 5 of them. Well, most of these Masons are in good health, at least. Good pull back with the Masons, even though they stack up. Oh, never mind. I was going to say maybe he can pivot away, but he ends up losing a big stack of them after, and it's just too much damage, man. This is like the Zerg version of Game 1 in that way. Just too much early game damage in favor of one player. How are they ever supposed to scale back up? Terran has the tools to turtle, at least, but I see. He's preemptively landing the anchor inside the natural here. It's going to put one Watchdog and have the Mavericks stalking it. He knows he needs much protection as is affordable. Third base for Ayud at the 9 o'clock, and Azorka's Shroud on the way. He doesn't realize he can bust him yet, but he'll figure it out and put the pieces together. Newt just bitterly holding on. Trying to make as many Mavericks as he can. That's why he added those extra stockades there. Mason count's so low. We checked in, what, 7 minutes? He had 20. Now he's only been able to grow by 6 in that time, in 3 minutes time. Still going to be able to kill a bunch of those clumped up Masons there. Eee. He does lose all of the Skiths for it. It wasn't the most cost efficient, but any amount of eco damage is pretty good. And now the ground army has taken its position. You have so few assets here to actually make use of. You kind of need to trade as cost efficiently as possible when it comes to military engagements, and I just don't see that happening. He's making a third ministry. He's chugging along. Following the script as best he can, even though it's all in tatters and smudged, marred by Zerg acid. Anchor going to reset over here as he scouts where the ground army is. All hands on deck. Third base getting its anti-drop defense and a lot of workers to saturate. Lake is Zoryus. Tethvith Swamp on the way for Ayud. Feels like this game is a formality. But we'll see if Newt can do some kind of remarkable defense. I do feel like you need to grab a few phalanxes in more defensive games like this and just pivot into Tier 2. Or maybe try to go for the Covenant add-on or something like that if you need more firepower and you don't want to change from bio to mech or have any mech add-ons. But there's got to be some way to fit that into your build. Speaking of, fulcrums are starting to be put down. Perhaps Newt thinking something similar. Whether it provides a necessary adjustment is yet to be seen. There's a lot of Mavericks and a lot of Cyprians. Chances for the Terran to stay alive and extend play further, but a 4th base being taken as soon as Ayud has the minerals. Another Maverick snapped as an attempt to scout. Another anchor. That could have been a Cestus, but not going to happen. He actually pulls a bunch of Mavericks back, interestingly enough. He wants the committal to happen. Now he's going to stim forward. Maybe a little bit premature. Most of the front line already dead. So there's that. A couple of Lakers in the back. There's no detection here. Cyprian's being chewed up by the Bactyl spam. Can Newt hold out at all is the question. The Huracan revealing. The anchor finishes but goes down immediately, and yeah, looks like the splash damage was still too much for Newt to deal with. He's got nothing else in the tank being made, and that will be GG. Ayud will take the series, and that is our first finalist. Newt will fall to the lower bracket with 1 win to his name versus Ayud. And we are awaiting the winner of HonMonO versus MicroGreen in the lower bracket. That is another best of 3. And that winner will face Newt. And the winner of that match will face Ayud. But I cannot provide any further commentary, any further action or coverage, because I got to go to work. So, got to pay the bills. Got to get moved. You know how it goes. We're trying to change location here. So, GG's to all who have played. And I have a feeling we'll see Newt versus Ayud again in the grand final, but maybe best of 3 TVT between HonMonO and Newt could be pretty big. Maybe MicroGreen will perform the upset. He already did over AOT, but that was a best of 1. It's a little bit harder to do when you're talking about a move like this. Looks like MicroGreen versus HonMonO is into game 2. Sopa's in the chat says, I'm more terrified playing TVZ. Yeah. I guess it would have been interesting for you to go up against Daedrid, because you and Daedrid are were the newest players to be playing, so it would have been cool to see that. But MicroGreen has been practicing apparently. He also must be like a C rank player at least or something in remaster. He's pretty solid, I think. The fact that he upset AOT means that he wins minimum $5. If he upsets HonMonO, he wins $10. And if he upsets Newt, then whoever gets second place is got $15, and then winner is $20. Just play like game 1 and make drop. Yeah. Just play like Newt game 1 versus Ayud and bop him, That's all you have to do. But it was some pretty cool games. It was a happy move there. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us today. It was a very fun set of games that we had. It was a very fun set of action. I'm pretty pleased with how the games went. They look pretty cool. I am going to be gone for now, so I will see you guys later when I'm able to cast some more of those matches. You'll see more videos on the channel and stuff, and all of that will continue. So thanks for playing. Thanks for watching. We'll be back very soon for more Cosmonarchy. Stay tuned.